They thought I was the girl they could easily break. They were wrong. The silence I kept for 3 years was actually my greatest weapon. Hi, my name is Maya, and I want to tell you about the year I learned that being invisible isn't a weakness. It's a vantage point. For 3 years, Chloe Whitfield basically ran our school like she owned it. She didn't need to try. Her father sat on the school board. Her mother chaired the parent association. She walked through hallways like she already owned the place, and the rest of us just made room without anyone asking us to. I didn't get made room for. I just didn't get noticed. Same 3 sweaters on repeat, a part-time job shelving books in the library 3 afternoons a week, a seat in the back row where the light never really hit. Turns out that's exactly where you want to be sitting. Chloe didn't even dislike me. That would have meant noticing me enough to bother. What she did to me wasn't personal. It was just something to do. It happened during midterms. A laptop went missing from the science lab. School property, tagged and logged. 2 days later, it turned up in my backpack during a locker check I hadn't requested, and Chloe had, according to the hallway monitor's log, specifically suggested. Here's what actually happened, though I didn't understand it myself until much later. Chloe was failing chemistry. Not the dramatic kind of failing, the slow kind, where you watch your grade slide every week and keep telling yourself you'll fix it next time. She needed an explanation that wasn't her own performance. A missing laptop, a confused freshman, a disciplinary committee distracted by theft instead of grades. That bought her time.
This is a case of externalization through moral scapegoating. By projecting her own academic failures onto a peer, the aggressor preserves her fragile self-image while weaponizing institutional authority to validate her deception.
Enough time to argue for a grade adjustment on extenuating circumstances while everyone was looking at me. I got called into the office. My mom had to leave work to sit next to me while an administrator said, "This is a serious matter, Maya. Theft of school property doesn't usually end well for the student involved." I was 12 days from a hearing that could have ended in expulsion. Nobody had checked a single part of the story. I didn't have a lawyer. I didn't have a school board seat. What I had was a part-time job in a room nobody else wanted to be in, and a librarian named Mrs. Okafor who believed, without anyone asking her to, that I deserved a fair shot. The expulsion didn't happen. A sophomore who'd seen Chloe near my locker that morning finally said something to the right person, and the charge dissolved into insufficient evidence. No apology, no correction to my file. Just silence, and the assumption I'd be grateful the silence had replaced the alternative. I wasn't grateful, I was paying attention. That spring, Mrs. Okafor asked me to help digitize an old records room nobody had touched in years. Staff files, board minutes, employment files going back decades. None of it organized, all of it needing to get cleaned up before an accreditation review. Tedious work. I did it anyway, same 3 afternoons a week. 4th week in, I found a folder misfiled under the wrong decade. Inside was an old employment application from 22 years earlier for a district administrative position. The name on it was Richard Whitfield, Chloe's father. The resume listed a master's degree in education policy from a university I recognized well enough that I needed to check it. So I did. The university had no record of him, not as a graduate, not even as someone who'd ever set foot on campus. I checked twice, 2 different ways, because I wanted to be wrong. My hands were a little unsteady doing the second search. I don't know why. It's not like anyone could see me. I wasn't wrong. 22 years. District administrator, then board member, then the man sitting in rooms where decisions about kids like me got made. All of it built on a degree that never existed. I didn't do anything with it for almost 2 months. Not out of mercy. It was research. There were nights I almost just let it go. It felt like too much for one email to carry, but I needed to understand what Richard Whitfield actually did on that board, not just his title. So I went back through the records room and pulled every set of meeting minutes I had access to from the last 3 years. Most of it was nothing. Budget approvals, calendar stuff, the ordinary texture of a school district running itself. Except there was a pattern if you read enough of the minutes in a row. Disciplinary policy revisions, timed almost exactly to line up with incidents involving Chloe or her friends. 2 years before my laptop incident, a line got added to the student conduct code. Disciplinary committees could weigh a student's established record of positive community contribution against an accusation. Chloe had an established record. I didn't. The line didn't have my name on it. It didn't need to. He hadn't just protected his daughter the way any parent might. He'd built the loophole into policy years before she ever needed it.
This illustrates intergenerational narcissistic reinforcement. By codifying his own lack of integrity into structural policy, the parent ensures his child remains unequipped for reality, ultimately setting the stage for her inevitable psychological collapse.
That's the moment this stopped being about a laptop. I didn't go to a reporter. I didn't go to a lawyer, not yet. I wrote one email, 3 sentences, to the district's compliance office. It didn't accuse Richard Whitfield of anything. It asked one simple question. Had the district ever verified the academic credentials on his original employment application, given a discrepancy I'd found with the university's records? No accusations. Just a name, some dates, and a request for confirmation. I sent it from a library computer, through an account that couldn't trace back to a student. Then I went back to shelving books. 3 weeks later, Richard Whitfield was placed on administrative leave pending an internal investigation. The district eventually put out a statement citing discrepancies in credential verification and an ongoing review of personnel records. The kind of careful wording you use when you're confirming something without quite saying it yet. It was true, though. The investigation found his degree had never been conferred. The university had no record of his enrollment, ever. 22 years of salary, pension contributions, and board authority built on one fabricated credential that nobody had ever bothered to check. He resigned before the district could finish the termination process. The board seat went next, faster, since board eligibility rules named those same now fictional credentials directly. I found out the way everyone else did, a small item in the local paper, and the sudden quiet that fell over Chloe's table in the cafeteria the following Monday. I didn't watch it happen up close. I didn't need to. Taking away someone's income and their reputation at the same time tends to show up fast. The Whitfield's house went up for sale that summer. I know because Mrs. Okafor mentioned it, not because I was tracking it, though I won't pretend I wasn't paying attention. Chloe's mom stepped down from the parent association that same month, quietly, citing family priorities. Chloe transferred to the public school across town that fall. I heard, secondhand, that she struggled there, not academically. It was the weird feeling of showing up somewhere where nobody has any idea who your dad is or cares. I should be honest about something, because it matters more to me than the satisfaction did. I didn't do this for revenge against Chloe. What moved me from knowing something to sending that email wasn't the laptop, it was the policy. Learning that the disadvantage I'd lived with for 3 years hadn't been bad luck. It had been built on purpose by a man with enough authority to make sure kids like me started every fight already a half step behind. That felt like something worth fixing, not punishing. Fixing. I saw Chloe again about a year later at a grocery store near my apartment. Her cart was overloaded. The way people overbuy when money's tight and they're nervous about it for the first time. She looked tired. The regular kind of tired most adults look. She didn't notice me. I don't think she would have recognized me if she had. I'd imagined this moment 100 times. None of those versions looked like a grocery store on a Tuesday. I stood there a little longer than I needed to, pretending to read a label. She never looked up once. What I felt was small. A flicker, gone fast. And right behind it, the plain fact that Chloe was just a person standing in a grocery store, managing a life that had gotten smaller and harder, the same way anyone's life can. 3 years of carrying that around, and it just thinned out, the way a noise does once you finally stop hearing it. I finished my shopping, didn't say a word to her. There was nothing left that needed saying. I spent 3 years being the girl nobody bothered to see. Turns out that was never the disadvantage everyone thought it was.
Have you ever had to stay silent while someone tried to ruin your life? Tell me your story in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe.